Hey there, this is Derek from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and we're looking at a 2003 Toyota Caldina GT4N edition. So the Caldina is what happened to the Celica. No longer were they able to sell a sports car. They turned it into a wagon. Well, kind of. The Caldina has always been on the same platform as the Celica and has been a station wagon, and they sold a GT4 version of this for the second and the third generation, this one being the third generation. Comes with a 3S GTE engine, which is the same as the GT4 engine out of the Celica. That's a 280 horse, 280? I think it's slightly below that, but possibly 280 horsepower 3S engine. The 3S engine was in the Celica, the Camry, what else was it in? The Altezza, the MR2, lots of other cars as well. The RAV4. In this case, the most powerful version of it and the most developed version of it as well. So some people nab the engine out of these for swap into something else. Now I'll shut the engine off for the rest of the review. The engine runs perfectly fine. I'll give you a little rev here to have a listen. And pretty nice for a station wagon, right? So switch that off. I will say that the AC works nice and well. Mechanically, the vehicle is basically perfect. Save for a couple of things. The battery needs to be replaced, which is a minor thing. That's why it's on a charger here. I did test the alternator, and the alternator is fine. It's just the battery that needs to be replaced, and it's a small battery using Japanese-sized terminals. So can't get this battery in Canada, where this car is going to be going. You can convert the terminals over to a Canadian-style battery, but these are called a B terminal here in Japan, and a D terminal is the one that you need outside of Japan. So this is all basically stock. The strut tower brace on there is part of the N package, or the N edition. The N edition gets a strut tower brace, Recaro seats, a Torsen rear LSD, and yes, this is four-wheel drive just like the GT4s. So cool car, right? Four-wheel drive, rally inspired. The N edition, N stands for Naruse, which is the name of like a developer in Toyota Motorsports, and he developed a lot of the coolest cars in Toyota, so this was kind of like, you get a car named after you sort of thing. Huge top mount intercooler on here, much bigger than this car has ever gotten in any of the other turbocharged versions of it. And I haven't had a lot of practice driving this car, but I've driven a ton of GT4s, so this will be a GT4 Plus in terms of how the engine handles. Sadly, it is only an automatic transmission, but I believe you get to shift yourself. Yes, you do. So not on the steering wheel, but there's a shift yourself gate here in the shifter if you want. Okay, let's close the hood and we'll take a look at the auction sheet. We'll say that the oil and the coolant are both fine on this one. The other mechanical problem might have to do with the battery being toast. I tried the rear power windows and they didn't work. So I went and pressed the actual physical switch on the door and they both worked. So I went back to the switch on the driver's side door and they worked. But this driver's side one never did work. It only worked with the switch here, not the switch over there. But sometimes a super dead battery like the one in this one can cause other electronic gremlins to come. So after changing the battery, you might be okay. Or you might, like the window and the regulator are okay, you might have to replace that switch on the other side. Okay, and this might be a TRD sports version or come equipped from factory with some TRD parts. So I believe this front bumper is a TRD sports front bumper with a much bigger intake over here, a bigger intake here, and kind of a sleeker design here. For the front, I believe that these wheels might be an optional wheel. It's really hard to tell. You know, when a car is 20 years old, was that an option 20 years ago? Have I seen it on Caldinas before? I feel like I have, but not 100% sure. And then the exhaust is a TRD sports exhaust, and quite a nice exhaust. I think TRD or Mugen or any of these factory, Nismo, any of these factory tuning brands, they tend to have an exhaust that sounds good but isn't too loud and is not going to annoy the neighbors too much. Okay, so let's go over the auction inspection sheet. This is a 2003 Caldina GT4N edition, 2000cc engine. It's called an ST246, and if you know the Celica, those are the ST165, ST185, ST105, and then the earlier Caldina GT4 is the ST215. So actually the second generation Caldina which was the first version of the Caldina GT4, is a more developed version of the ST and the 3S engine than came in the final version of the Celica GT4, and this one's further developed past that. Okay, it's an auction grade 4 with an interior B and very nice low mileage here at 61,522 kilometers. Automatic transmission, of course. There was no option for manuals. Power steering, power windows, and airbag. History here says it's the sales points are it's registered until February of 2025, February 13th. Has a TRD exhaust, TRD front bar, like tower bar. The TRD tower bar is part of the N edition package. The muffler isn't, as far as I know. It could be. I might be wrong about that. Original Recaro seats. They're basically the same as a Lancer Evolution, the same generation as those seats. They just look a little bit different. The Lancer ones are specific for the Lancer. It has aftermarket suspension on it. Oh, and you got different shock absorbers with the N edition as well. Aftermarket 17-inch wheels, toll collection box, 3S GTE turbo engine. And then the report from the inspector says the battery is dead, so we knew about that. It's actually dead, like it won't accept a charge. Interior one part dirty and scratched. It's actually quite clean. I wouldn't worry about that at all. Headliner ripped, which is a little bit of a problem. It's not huge, but it's semi-noticeable. Steering wheel wear, which again doesn't bother me. This one has very little wear on this. Now that I see it from the outside, it's looking a little bit worse. For everything you can see in the car looks okay. Can we get a focus? It actually looks a little bit bad through the windshield. And it doesn't feel bad to the touch. Okay, left and right headlight brackets are cracked. Yes, I took pictures of these. The headlights are mounted in like 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 places, and this one up here on both sides is cracked. The front end might have taken a little bit of a hit. If you have a close look here, this area here is cracked, and the line up to the headlight is not exactly perfect. It's very close, but it's not exactly perfect. And so that probably hitting the front end kind of moved the bumper stays and cracked the plastic. If you replace these headlights, that'll replace the cracked piece. And these headlights are a little faded, and so replacing the headlights will brighten up the front of the car for sure. Okay, very small scratches, small dents. A3 on the front bumper, that's extreme scratches. Duct is faded. Not mentioned on the auction sheet, but the hood, the roof has a little bit of paint fade. And then there's a faded rear bumper. It says AU1, U1, U1, W2, and W2. So the repainted sections are all fine. That doesn't bother me, even though I've found that Japanese paint shops tend to be a little bit bad. And then the AU1 is just very minor scratches or dents. None of that is really worth pointing out. Okay, so let's take you for a tour around it. The Caldina is, I think, quite a bit more modern looking than the Celica. I feel like the early 2000s was a big step up between the late 90s and early 2000s for car design. It's when we started getting headlights that were quite a bit more molded into the shape of the car, and a lot more computer designed cars. Like, I get it that computer designed cars started in the late 80s, but what you could get away with and what you could design with a computer really took over in the early 2000s. It's a sports wagon shape, so you don't get a ton more space compared to a sedan, but still worth it. I think it's incredibly cool. Anything that's a fast wagon. BMW M5 wagons, amazing. The Lancer Evolution wagons, also amazing. This is actually, I guess, pretty close to a Lancer Evolution wagon, but at like maybe a quarter or a third of the cost, even compared to the automatic version, which most of the Lancer Evo wagons are. Okay, I'm digging this front bumper. Now we're just going to take a look at some of the defects of the body. So I already showed you this one here. The A3 is maybe part of that, but also both corners have a scratch. This one here from here all the way to here. As far as A3s go, it's not too bad. Has a couple of chips around here. You see again, it's not perfectly lining up there. Over on this side, we have some more scratch right on the edge of this, and then some paint cracks here with a little bit of peeling paint and touch-up paint there. And those cracks continue along there. It is a bumper that is fairly low to the ground and sticks out from the front axle quite a bit, and so it's going to be prone to getting damaged. You also have, and maybe you already noticed this, some peeling paint on the underside of this. Okay, and a little bit of peeling paint underneath this tan sticker. Okay, the paint fade on the hood scoop, and I love the hood scoop. It really helps develop the look of the car as being a sports car. I love that. And then the door mirrors here, they have a little bit of fade on them, but I like the design here where the door mirror comes down into the body line here. That's the sort of thing that you, like before they started designing cars with computers, that kind of thing wasn't seen as often. Okay, side panels are looking good. Car is dirty, so my apologies for showing you a dirty car, but there's not really much in that area we need to talk about. Here's an example of what a U1 dent looks like. And there's that one there. There's also a couple of other ones on this side, like one right here. And see if I can find that other one. I believe there's one more on this side, but maybe hard to see from this angle. Yeah, for the most part, the body is looking really good. Here we go, right there. Somebody else's door has attacked. I do wonder about these wheels. They definitely have the look of an OEM Plus wheel. And usually Toyota would have wheels manufactured from a company that already knows what they're doing, like Ray's or Oz, something like that. I can't open the trunk because the battery's dead. Oh, that's bad. I want to show you the trunk, so I'll go attach the battery jump box again. I'll come back to the interior in a second. I don't think there's anything else for the exterior to point out. Oh, the fade in the back bumper. Up we go, and you can attach this hood thing to two different settings depending on how you want the hood to be. The rear LSD, that's cool. I kind of would like to try driving one against the regular one to see how much better it is. If you're going to be driving quickly, the rear LSD absolutely will help, especially in a four-wheel drive car. Let's see if we can open the trunk. We can't. I did open it later. I got some pictures of the interior. Kind of annoying when this happens. Cars with dead batteries. We need a new policy that we just replace the batteries anytime. Oh, also the central locking does a weird thing. Look, you try to lock it, it just unlocks itself immediately. So that's got to be looked at. I'm glad I didn't forget that. Okay, so rear bumper has a few areas where it has some nicks here that have been touched up with the touch-up paint, which is nice. This area here actually has some fade. Let's see if you can see that. And then some scratches in this area here. I would say that that's like an A2 level scratch. And here, some fade in this section as well. Trunk? Well, it's got a tonneau cover, so it's a little hard to see exactly how big it is. But yeah, bigger than a sedan, bigger than a hatchback. Not as big as a minivan or an SUV. Well, it depends on the minivan. 3 rows often have small trunks. Little storage spot there. You've got tire stickers. Huh, cool. It's for 17-inch. Cool. The jack is in there. And no signs of any rust or damage underneath here. It's a Space Saver spare tire in there. Okay. Close this off into the back seats first. And the interior is this really nice, it has this mesh type material. I like that a lot. It's blue and black, and then it has kind of a purplish. And if that's not purple, tell me. I'm actually officially colorblind, and purples and blues are difficult for me to figure out. I believe it's purple. You can tell me if I'm wrong in the comments section. Decent amount of back space in here, obviously more than a Celica. Those things are tiny in the back seats. We actually have one in our lot at the moment, an ST205. And these seats are nice. The Caldina was not an economy car. It was kind of a mid-grade car, and so you get a nice mid-grade interior in here. Not as high grade as a Crown, but not a Corolla. Okay. Your headliner damage. Up here, it looks like somebody was carrying something and then scratched it as it was coming in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Not serious, but not the smallest scratches or rips. You know, when it says headliner rip, you expect more than that though, so I guess that's kind of good news. Good looking door card again. Let's see if that... Oh, the battery has disconnected itself again. Whoops. Okay, so nice Recaro seats. It is very bright today, so all the pictures are going to be a little bit contrasty when it comes to the seats, which I hate, but as the Japanese people say, shogunai, which means it can't be helped. This part here extends out if you want more leg support, and they're in excellent condition. The interior's been smoked in, but I don't think it's been smoked in recently. It doesn't have any smell to it at all, but I did find 2 cigarette burns in the door card right there and there. Steering wheel, as you can see, is fairly good from here, but the worn out section is up here. And I guess a little bit in this area. Okay. So it has an aftermarket Carzaria CD player and MP3 player, also does DVDs. Climate control, AC works nice and fine. There's a little free box there, and then ashtray here. No signs of, well, this one here has signs of it being used, but in here it's all been cleaned up properly. It doesn't have any ash remnants in it. Okay, shifter here. I guess they really like this triangular look. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was their style motif at the time. 2 cup holders there. Center console for your wallet and for deeper things. Okay, yeah, I think the interior is quite nice on this. I always have. Gauge set looks pretty nice too when it's actually on. It has a hands-free device here, which I'm not sure if you'll be able to use or not. And a mystery switch for on and off there that I don't know what it's for. Potentially the fog lights, because I don't think I see any other fog light switch. Oh no, here it is. Fog lights are in the stock. Okay, so Caldina GT4. Like a Celica, but station wagon version of it. Great value for money. Still fairly easy to find. Not the easiest, but still fairly easy to find. And definitely worth looking into. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. As usual, if you have any questions, please let me know. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.